Hi, yogis, welcome back to another episode of RunYogi Diaries. This is your host, Santosh Shiva. I hope you had a wonderful week and you also got some time to play, swim, bike, run, whatever is your thing. Every week, I bring you conversations with people who are on a journey of well being and endurance. I hope they spark some possibility in you, leave you with some tips, and perhaps some inspiration to perspire. If you like this channel, consider subscribing to it. Hit like if you like this video, and leave your comments below and let us know what you think. This episode is also available on all major podcast platforms if audio is your thing. In the house today is a story of a woman who made the hard decision to put family above career. It was a tough choice. This may as well be the story of many women in our communities who are unsung heroes that dedicate their lives to homemaking and raising family. But over the course of time, she discovers the passion of running that transformed her life in ways she didn't imagine. We get behind the scenes of her life journey and how the pursuit of fitness, self care through running brought joy and anchor to her life. Let's welcome Nisha Ramesh. Hi Nisha, welcome to Run Yogi Diaries.
Hi Santosh, thanks so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me all the way from Mumbai. And it's always fun. Thanks to technology, we are able to have these conversations over long distances, right?
Absolutely connects people across. So it's
Yeah,
fabulous, really. Yes.
terrific. Hey, so, you have a fascinating journey and of self care and, balancing motherhood and fitness. And you also left behind a lucrative career to focus on what's important. And so that's something that's very inspiring, and we want to dig into all of that, the how behind the scenes, what happened. But before that, let me have you quickly personally do a quick introduction and then we'll jump in.
Sure, Santosh. So I'm basically living in Mumbai with my husband and my two boys. But I would say that I've spent equal amount of years between two very contrasting cities, Bangalore and Mumbai.
Hmm.
And most people would, highly choose or prefer one over the other. But I've kind of found the balance to be very nice and really enjoyed my time spent in both places. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. And yes, like you did mention, I did have a career and which I quit with me being a few years into it. And then I've pursued this whole journey of fitness. And it's kind of great because it passed on to the boys and they've picked up on it as well. So as a family, it just feels good to be there in that space. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my passion is yoga, and now of course running and any kind of movement that I take to. So other than dancing, I'm someone with two left feet, so that just doesn't
Okay.
seem to happen. Not yet, not as yet. Yeah. So
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know that. I thought all women can dance. So that was a stereotype I had. So I.
that is a complete misconception that men carry, and I've heard this from others too. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good.
So
So hey, I think we should jump into your journey and maybe do a bit of a flashback, right? How it all started. You today run. You're a marathoner, but there's a story behind it from where it all started. So let's maybe flash back a little bit and hear about how it all got started for you.
Yes, so I was into a lot of sport as a child in school and also in college. But post that, it was the very typical sedentary lifestyle with work and not so much of movement, actually, literally no movement. And you also kind of get used to having vehicles around even your typical walks get shorter or almost non existent. So it was just pretty much sitting at the desk and all of that plus very poor lifestyle, I would say, in terms of sleep habits because of work and poor eating habits. So all of that led to a whole lot of weight gain was just one of the things. uh, but yeah, you could just feel that whole sluggishness about yourself, and generally not a feel good factor. So
This
yeah,
was how many
and
years ago?
uh,
What time frame
so
are we talking about?
so this would have been say, uh, say around when I was 26, 27.
Hmm.
That's when
Hmm.
the whole I could sense that I'm slowly shifting towards really, really being sedentary. And
Hmm.
there is, it kind of hit me that there was not much movement. Then, of course, I had my boys when I just completed, I'd signed up for a yoga course once I quit my job. And then I had the boys. And it was then that when I saw the needle steadily shifting to the right, uh, and showing no signs of turning the other way, the other direction, I was like, okay, I need to do something about this and do something about it dedicatedly and seriously, and not just, try to come down a few pounds and then just let it
Hmm.
be, sort of a thing. And I knew I had to have a regime in place. And luckily, not, having to be in that corporate pressure, working for a corporate, having those pressures of time and all of that, like that kind of helped me to get going with this a little more dedicatedly. Yeah.
Yeah, also,
So
I think also in your case, it was a conscious choice, right? In the sense that
yes,
there's a lot of you chose to focus on something that's important, which is parenting, uh,
yes.
which must have been big decision for you, right?
Yes, like with with most things in this sphere, you kind of tend to develop a very strong identity with your job. You've been working towards that for so many years with that kind of an aim in mind, and you tend to just gravitate towards like that being what you how you respond to things around you as well when people approach you. So a whole lot of that is like just completely built into you, and you identify so strongly with it. So it was very difficult to make that call initially, but I think towards the end, like once I completed my yoga course, and I'm also into a lot of reading, and somewhere like philosophies in yoga helped you, like it made me question myself as to what is stopping me from making a choice that may be different, that may not
Hmm.
be what most people expect out of you, but just
Mhm.
something that works for you. And if you're in a position to be able to sail through that call comfortably, of course, along with family support and all of that taken
Mhm.
into consideration, then why not? So, yeah,
Yeah.
it did take
So
me.
what was it? What was the core principle in whatever you read that kind of helped you with that?
So, so I just realized that I ought to drop these so-called attachments that you have to, expectations of others, of yourself, and try to gain a little more clarity into what works for me really, and what
Hmm.
works for our family as a unit. So, if
Yeah.
my husband was traveling quite a bit as well, it's not that it was impossible for me to get help and manage things, but I just felt that it to me at that point in time I was also thinking this way that if I were even if I were to do this role really well and give it my all, I'm still justifying my days, my time, and a sense of fulfillment that was coming along with it. So
Yeah.
I was very happy to do this, though I know there is a different school of thought that exists. And I guess to each their own, basically, like, I don't think either of the options are completely good or bad, and both have their,
Yeah.
yeah, positives and negatives that go along with it. So I think
Yeah. No. Beautiful.
yeah,
No.
the
That's
important thing was
beautiful.
to kill the
Mhm.
mental conflict. So as soon as that stopped and I had accepted that, this is when I'd come to that clear conclusion, I just felt absolutely fine with it. And so this was the line that I just walked with. Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's beautiful. I just want to call that out. Like you said, I think one can get caught with these schools of thoughts, right? Oh no, she took a big sacrifice, or somebody could have said, oh no, she did the right thing. But I think to your point, it's ultimately comes down to workability and priorities, and choices are choices. I mean, if you had gone that way, there would have been other set of challenges you would have to deal with.
Absolutely.
And but you chose this based on your what's focus and what's priority for you. And then of course you made it work. So that's what we're gonna kind of dwell into. But that's a great point that you make. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that really kept me going with the kind of decision that I'd opted for. I would definitely encounter people who would try to question as to why I would not resume my career or get back into. But I just knew that that wasn't my calling as well. So I find this a whole lot more fulfilling, I could say. Yeah. So
Yeah, perfect. So when you say this fulfilling, which part? Can you elaborate on that?
So the aspect of being there for the kids, also leading by example in terms of small things which may seem very insignificant, like establishing a routine and ensuring that the kids kind of pick up from what they watch around being around you, and also making it a whole lot more peaceful at home. Like I can just imagine if I were to be in the corporate and I had to like rush off for travel and then make arrangements for the kids to be taken care of, husband was traveling, like they would have just of course there are people who do it, it's definitely commendable that there are those who can manage it. I just felt that if there's a choice that I could have, then I'd rather keep things a little more smooth sailing, so I could focus on a few more things, like I mentioned, my getting back to fitness and getting taking care of my health, doing the same for the kids and my husband as well. So yeah, so that was my prime area of focus.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so beautiful, Nisha, because my mom was a homemaker,
Right.
and I know she gave up her she trained as an Ayurvedic doctor. She gave up her career to raise us, and
That's incredible.
we are always thankful for that, and I think it's very important to acknowledge that the unsung heroes of women who give up their careers, stay at home for the kids. It's amazing. I mean, thank you for that. And no matter who
Thanks so
judges,
much. Thanks. Yeah.
we don't have to care for that. Nobody who people can judge and say whatever they want, but
Yes.
it's amazing. So but what's important is that you also focused on self-care. It was not all about the whole 1970s Hindi movie Meena Kumari style, right? Oh my god, I gave up and I'm crying. That's not the case, right? It's also
No,
about
no,
balance and empowerment.
not
So
at all.
let's kind of yeah. So
Yeah.
let's kind of fast forward running. How so? Running is a core component of your life. Then how did that enter,
Yeah.
and give us a sense of that?
Yeah. So when I had when my second son was about 9 months old, I developed this autoimmune condition, possibly as a response to what the body went through, and it was a skin disorder. So there was no cure with the typical allopathic treatment for this. The only option was to be on steroids, which would just suppress the condition, but it would not really cure it. It would come back anytime. So luckily, I found some local alternative healing method, and miraculously, like something that I struggled with for 5 6 months, with new rashes erupting all over my skin. I could kind of bring this under some sense of control, and eventually, of course, I did do some bit of homeopathic treatment, and this got a little sorted. But that kind of made me realize that I'm definitely doing something wrong, or quite a few aspects of my life are just not in balance. And yoga, again, is something which gave me this insight, like having studied the course and covering so many different aspects of it. So I knew that I had to introspect and figure what all areas I would need to set right. So food was one such thing, and then I knew I had to take to some form of exercise. But
Mhm.
not having done anything for so long, I just thought, let me start with something that I can do every day without thinking too much about it, which was brisk walking. So the earlier apartment that I lived in did not have as much space, even, but I would just do this up and down walking in the apartment complex itself.
Yeah, and you have a global audience, and you have audience from other cities in India.
Yeah, yeah. So
Just to give a
Mumbai
sense
is,
of Mumbai,
yeah,
you
it's a
right.
different animal altogether. Yeah,
Yeah. You live in much smaller spaces, and so space is a
very, very.
rare commodity. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I love IKEA because of the functionality of their furniture. So, anyway, so
Yeah.
that aside, I did get into this brisk walking, and soon after, we got the opportunity to pick up an apartment in a slightly better complex with a little more amenities and all of that.
Mhm.
So much more actually, vis-a-vis where we were at previously. So this place had like a 1 kilometer, close to a 1 kilometer loop that you could do comfortably. And well, here even that is like a luxury. So if you're just
Yeah.
thinking in terms of I can just go so many miles with no stoppage or breakage or turns or whatever, that
Yeah.
doesn't happen here. So 1 kilometer is a luxury. Yeah, so when we moved here again, I got very tied up with the move, getting the home done, and all of that. So I had my walk just slip into oblivion. I wasn't doing any of it, and with two kids to manage, and their school and back, and all of that. So once again, I when I saw that the needle was like steadily shifting right and showing no signs of moving in the other direction, I was like, okay, this is it now. Now, no matter what, I've got to put a plan in place and just get started. So I think it's a whole lot about that, just getting started. So once I started with that, I would do like a minimum of 8 to 10 kilometers walking, but brisk walking. I built it up over a few months and then sustained it
Mhm.
around that. But I could,
And
of
this was
course,
what year? What
this
year are
was
we talking about?
2012. 2012.
2012. Okay.
Yeah. So, and by some, within like November of 2012, I think I was in a good space with just that walking. And I had tweaked my food a lot. Like I had just stopped eating out completely. As
Hmm.
a family, we would step out on occasions. The kids were very small then, so it was very easy to control that aspect. Otherwise, they would be like, we want to go
Yeah.
somewhere, we want to do something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so this kind of got manageable for me. And even if I would step out, I'd ensure that I just have a salad. And I am like, I could really eat. I'm a huge foodie. So I think it was just thanks to genes that I wasn't crazily overweight and I was only at the point where I was at. But yeah, definitely it was not a great sign at that point in time. And I'd cut down sugar. So, like some small things that I knew that I could incorporate without really calling it a diet or being too strict about things. So,
So on that, right? On
yeah.
that, did you was there any specific? Did something inspire you to do that? Where did you get this
Oh,
idea
yeah.
that?
Interesting
Uh,
that you ask because one of the days when I dropped the kids at school and I had to wait around for the school to get over because the commute was too long to make it within that short time of they were both very, very small. So I would spend my time at Crossword, this bookstore.
hmm. Okay.
And yeah, so that's where I would pick up things like there was this magazine Prevention that was very uh, rampant at that point in time, and Reader's Digest as well. So
Hmm.
I was just browsing through the magazine section and I picked up this Reader's Digest which said New Atkins for a New You. That
Okay.
was New Atkins for a New You, the Atkins diet, but in a
Yeah.
revised version. So when I noted that, I just started reading, and the concept kind of excited me that very contrary to what we think, it's possibly not, fats are not the enemy like we would like to think. But like basically, if I were to cut down fats, but I would eat the same amount of carbs that I'm consuming right now, or the levels of sugar that I was consuming at that moment, things would not change much for me. So that was a huge realization that dawned upon me. I was not aware of it before that. So then I studied a little more. So Gary Tobes has written this book about fats and carbs, and I got into the entire study of that. So yeah, I just ended up reading a lot and being a little more focused and conscious about what I was eating. So that I framed my nutrition around that. Not to say I cut out carbs entirely, but I knew that refined carbs were a sure no-no, and I would incorporate the healthier versions in terms of sometimes whole wheat or whole grains. So I tried to do that instead. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
That's
how the
it.
whole transition happened with the food as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a chance encounter.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like when you're open, you receive, right? There's something
Absolutely.
out there who's
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. When you begin to look for it, things just manifest and sort of bring it all towards you. So make things happen for you. The universe makes it
Yeah.
happen for you. So that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
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 All right.
So that's how
Cool.
the
Let's
food
get
bit.
back. So you were back. You're telling us about your walking. Now you're doing 10 kilometers. Your
Yeah.
diet seems to be changing. So, hey, let's get back there.
Yes. And then with some quite a few kilos shed, which I was very pleased about. And again, another chance encounter that I met up with one of my husband's friends who had just done the Istanbul marathon, the full marathon at Istanbul.
Wow.
So it was great that I got a chance to chat with him, and he shared his experience. And so at that point in time, when he was like, "That's," I didn't even know what the distance for a full marathon was, and I didn't know that races were happening and people were running. So I had no clue about any of that. And
Yeah.
then when he said it's 42.2 kilometers or 26.2 miles, I was like, that's insane. Like, who's going to be, running this? Like, you're just killing yourself. So it was not something that I look forward to ever. And I told him that, this is just crazy. It's outrageous. He said, no, you'll figure when you start doing it. I said, I'm definitely not getting into any of this. I'm happy with my brisk walking and it's suiting me just fine. I plug in my music and I'm like oblivious to everything else. So then when that was on my trip to Bangalore, and when I got back to Mumbai, I just happened to notice this signage. There were notices all around, banners put up, which was talking about a run that was happening. So there was a 10K run and a 4K walk.
Mhm.
So when I saw the 10K run, I thought, oh, being a runner, he must be very excited to do this run. And I didn't know that races were so many, that there would be many even in Bangalore. But I just thought this very exciting and he may want to run this race. So I texted him saying, hey, look, there's a 10K race that you may be keen to sign up for. Then he said, yes, go ahead, sign up. So then I said, oh, okay. So I was like, send me your details and I'll, get the form and sign. So back then there were no online registrations happening.
Mhm.
So we would have to go somewhere, get a form. That's how it was here when it first started. So this is how, when he responded back saying, it's not for me, it's for you. So you just sign up for the 10K. I was like, what? Like, then I said, okay, I can sign up for the 4K walk, but not the 10K run. Then he's like, no, you have to run. I'll make this plan for you and you should just go ahead and do it. So
Okay.
again, like the nutrition, like I think things just happened and I was on a path and I knew that I had to, get to some form of fitness and all of that.
Yeah.
And this also just was a very chance thing that happened in my life, I would say, and very grateful
Yeah.
for that. So he made me a run plan, and in 6 weeks, the run was in Jan. So I had to follow that. I could not even run half a kilometer without going completely out of breath.
Mhm.
But I just built up from there very slowly, very steadily. And it was just, I think, one of the most beautiful feelings when I finished that 10K. So, yeah, so within a span of 6 weeks, I did that. So my running happened, signing up for the race happened before I even started to take a single step with running. So, yeah.
So this is 2013. We are in
This was,
2013, right?
yes, 2013
This is
Jan
like
is
9
when I
years
ran
back.
this. Yeah. That's when I
Awesome.
ran this.
So that's where it got
So,
started.
yes, totally. And then I was hooked, like all you runners out there.
All you runners.
Yeah,
Well,
of
all
course.
us runners now.
Yes, all us runners now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm definitely not in the same league of. I've watched some of your interviews. Like, just so many commendable people out there with fabulous achievements. So it's just so inspiring to see that. I think you're doing like a fab job of this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think everybody has a journey, right? Everybody
Yeah.
has unique circumstances, and
Yes.
it depends on what choices you make. Some people might go do 100 milers. That's their
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
you might be. And let's get back to you. So you of course, went on to do the halves and the full marathon. So that's no mean
Yeah.
task. So let's
Thank
get back
you.
there. How did that happen?
Yeah, so once I was on this journey with once a 10K happened, then I was putting in my regular runs. So it had become a regular feature now for me that I would have to just show up and do my run. And I did have like a simple run plan, like a couple easy runs. Um, Unless there was a that I was training for a race, it would just be like one interval or a tempo in a week for the speed work, and one long run. So that's how the week was planned. And I would just show up and do this and log my runs religiously. I don't think I missed too many days. So that's a real feel good. And it also started happening that there was a lot of encouragement from the community that I live in. So there would be elderly people walking. There would be other, people just say the same age, like walking, doing stuff. So they'd always come up to me during stretching or post run stretches or whatever, and they would have a short conversation saying, "Oh, so you run." So at that point in time, I think there were very few runners, and now our community is like filled with runners. So it's just amazing to see how that has grown. And yeah, so that would be a huge source of encouragement for me, and it just felt very, very good. And
Yeah.
there were many who came and said, "Okay, we watch you run, and we have also started, or we've started working out." So that's another sense of fulfillment that I was talking about. Like, you feel good that you've made a positive difference to someone's life, or they have
Yeah.
taken a step ahead in their life towards on this journey towards better health and fitness. So that is
Yeah.
something that I'm very, very excited about. Yeah. So that's how I
Perfect.
progressed slowly to a half marathon in Jan
Mhm.
2014.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the Tata Mumbai Marathon, as it is called now. Earlier it was the Standard Chartered Mumbai
Hmm.
Marathon.
Hmm.
So that was my first half marathon that I ran. And yeah, so it was a great experience as well. And at that point in time, I would need gels and other things to keep me going even for a half marathon. So yeah, now it just seems like ridiculous, but
Yeah.
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 So the person who put together the training plan for you, that was your friend, right?
Yeah, that was my husband's friend. Yes, they
That's your
studied
friend.
together.
So
So it's also Sunil's friend,
oh,
coincidentally.
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So was he also continuing to support you in your training as you scaled your distances and all that?
Yes, definitely. So through the half marathon and the and my first full. So the I'll talk about the full later because it was a complete. It was a I think a totally crazy thing that I did. The craziest thing I may have done in my life. So yeah, so the half marathon, there were plans in place, and I would do my training miles. So I was putting in the miles. Um, I may not have been training too much for speed and all of that. It was just largely to ensure that I could run the distance. So that was my main plan those initial days. It's not that too much has changed now very drastically that I've turned into a super fast runner, but yeah, so it's just that was my plan. I did have a plan. I did have some feedback and support from him, and that's how I progressed through my half and full.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think now on hindsight, we say things like, "Oh, it's just a half marathon or it's just a 10K and all
yeah,
that." But end of the day, the first time you do those distances, it's formidable. If you've never run a mile in your life or a kilometer in your life, and then you go do 10 kilometers,
yes,
it's huge. And same with 21 kilometers. How many people run 21
yeah,
kilometers just like that, right? So and the other part is, of course, space versus distance. There's always an inverse proportion to that, and so if your distance goes up, your space comes down. So it by no means, a casual walk in the park, right?
totally agree.
Uh, so, and also a big mental, breakthrough, right?
Yes,
Like you break a
yes,
ceiling, like you're breaking a ceiling, and that's where it
yes.
starts. So I
And
can
with
I can get a sense of.
yeah, the longer the distances, the more of that mental breakthrough that
Yeah.
you need to achieve. So
Yeah.
definitely, it's I think anyone who's running any of these distances and or just a regular runner, just showing up every day and putting in the miles, it's just hats off to each and every runner out there. So Yeah.
So
So
while this was happening, so you started an active lifestyle, you started running regularly, you've changed your nutritional intake. What happened to your the autoimmune condition? Did that get that
oh
disappear as well?
yeah, so I was told that it could recur at any point in time. But for whatever reason, that just, I guess the reason was that I was moved shifting towards a healthier lifestyle,
Hmm, hmm,
and
hmm.
I never had an issue with it post that. So it was just
Yeah,
absolutely good.
yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
I mean,
was.
I'm not a doctor or anything, but a lot of times people, what I've read is autoimmune conditions also because of inflammation, right? That
Yes,
when you
yes,
consume a lot of high inflammatory food, it tends to trigger
yes.
it off. So uh, and
Not, yeah,
stress.
yeah. Stress
Yeah,
is
go ahead.
another factor. And even foods basically like a lot of oxidation that takes place in the body, so it releases a lot of free radicals, and that's how the inflammation really starts being on the rise in the system. And if you're not consuming enough antioxidants, then you tend to not balance it out, and this leads to various autoimmune conditions. And like you said, stress is also a huge factor. You're absolutely right on that. So um, it could have been either the stress of having just had the two had my two
Mm,
boys back to back, and that there's a whole lot of different physical trauma that the body undergoes. And
mhm.
I guess each body reacts differently to these things, and possibly that could have been one of the reasons behind this.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just think once I started running, it just gave me like a sense of purpose. I think it calmed me down a whole lot. And like I
Mhm.
mentioned, like, this constant conflict between career and not really
Mhm.
going for it. So I think somewhere this um, replaced the identity that I had always attached with myself, as in attached to the career part of me. So now running kind of replaced that, and I felt a whole lot more at peace with myself. So
Yeah,
yeah, all of that just, it just kind of went with the whole flow. So
yeah.
that's how it
Like a
happened.
sense of you're doing something, like a sense of you're doing something that is forwarding
Accomplishment
you.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely, makes
I
sense.
also
Makes
feel
sense.
a good sense of energy to be with the boys, do play
Mm.
with them, do things along with them, take them out to parks
Yeah.
and spend time with them. So all of that also kind of enhanced my sense of uh, feeling that
Hmm.
I was doing what I should be doing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely. So, well, this was happening. A better version of you was arising through this process. Your family was getting, a happier version of you.
Definitely.
Um, so then the marathon happened. So how did that happen?
Oh, so the marathon was a completely crazy idea, which I would not really recommend to anyone. So, 2014, I ran my half, and I had done another couple 10Ks post that. That's it. So,
Hmm.
all this while, 21.1 was my maximum distance. So, obviously, Jan 2015, I was to turn 35 on Jan 18th. That's my birthday. I'm just mentioning the date because it coincides with the Tata Mumbai Marathon for that year.
Yeah.
And this friend of mine just said that, you know what? So I had signed up for the half and had gotten my application and web and everything sorted. Suddenly, with 3 weeks to go for the race, he was like, "You should just do the full." What can be better than that? You have this full marathon on your birthday. You've been putting in the miles. It's not like it's not completely impossible.
So it's the same
Doesn't
friend that
matter.
got you into the 10K, right? The same
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, the same
Okay.
friend. So
Should we
then I was
thank him?
well, I was not thanking him while I was running the 42. Let me tell you that. So, but he was kind enough to pace me through the run, though I did put him through a lot of hell. That was like total payback time. But yeah, but when we, so this was a reason. He just said that, I've
Hmm.
just checked the next few years. The race is just never going to happen on Jan 18th for the next so many years because of a leap year that's coming in between and all of those reasons. And he said, by then you would have done many fulls, but this is the best chance for you to do your first full in your city on your birthday and you're turning 35. So what better gift? And I was like,
Yeah.
really, like, killing my legs is not my idea of a birthday gift. But he was like, no, 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 don't worry. All that we can take care of later. You just sign up for this.
Yeah.
So it was too late. So I think he spoke to someone that he knew and then got me a entry. And my bib didn't even have my name on it, so I had to like literally write it uh, with a pen. And that's how the full marathon happened. At least the
Wow.
signing up for it happened that way. And my maximum distance that I could do before the race was just 24 kilometers.
Hmm.
So,
Like a
which
half
is,
marathon. Okay.
yeah, which is a complete no go. I would not recommend it to anybody.
So
So,
let's zoom into the day of the marathon itself. Like what was it like? I know you've run 13 miles, right? So that's the
yes,
maximum distance you've run. So anything
yes,
beyond or 24 kilometers is more than 21
little more
miles.
than 13
13.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's zoom into the when you stepped into the 15th mile. What were you thinking?
Oh,
What
you've
was
already
happening?
gone to the 15th mile. Yeah, so that's when all the courses and everything started. So first of all, Mumbai is let to just give you a bit of a background. Mumbai, it starts getting really warm and humid. Though January is supposed to be a month that is relatively cool compared to a whole lot many other months, but by the time it's Jan 18th, mid Jan, it kind of tends to get warmer. So most people, I think, should run this marathon only if they are anywhere trying to complete it within 4 hours or so. Like anything beyond that, the sun is out and you're running also towards the sea, which makes that area a lot more humid and very stifling. So it becomes really challenging weather-wise to run this race. So it's a tough course, definitely in that sense. And also there are a few uphills, but nothing too daunting. But yeah, I mean, for someone who's not a trained runner or who's never run that distance before, it definitely proved to be a huge challenge. So until the halfway mark and even up to 28 kilometers, I was
Hmm.
going comfortable. I was running all the
Hmm.
way. Everything was smooth. But somewhere between 28 and by the time it was 32, I was on this stretch of road with no tree cover, no shade. The sun was like just completely killing it for us. And there was a sponge that I grabbed onto. I think that was my best friend for the remainder of the race. Um, so I was just like hanging on to that and pouring water in it wherever I could find it and just using it at the back of my neck. So all of those crazy things happened. At 32, I just wanted to quit, and I was like, it doesn't make sense because at any point in time until then, I was never really feeling my body hurt in any way. So I've never had like those typical aches and pains or knee pain or back pain, but
Yeah.
at 32 I could feel every bone in my body. I was like, oh god, this is just not happening, and I don't want to run like this. Like, I want to run feeling good about the run.
And that too is your birthday.
Yes, it's my birthday. I would have
What
rather
a way
been
to
like
celebrate.
celebrating with some champagne and not this. So, getting just being in the blistering heat. So then I said, you know what, let me just stop here. So my family met me at the 28K mark. My husband and my boys were there. They waved out and cheered for me and gave me a hug and all of that. And at 32, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm just going to quit. And at that point in time, this strange thought entered my head that if I have to just think about it, I was just talking to myself and saying, just think about this. If you got to do the 42, you got to run these 32 kilometers once again. And I was like, no, 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 I cannot do that. Let me just do the 10 and be done with it. So, yeah, that's what got me restarted. And after a short break with some water and ice, I just started running again. At one of the flyovers, which just approaches as you move towards the finishing point, there was this old man who was running, and he was about 79 years of age. And he turned to me and he said, this is my full marathon too. So, and my first full marathon too. So I was like, it just blew my mind that someone at that age wasn't giving up, or the heat was not bothering him. His age wasn't bothering him. And he was just going. And from that point onwards, I think I just didn't walk at all. I said, I have to run and finish this race. So, like, you find these little inspirations along the way, in the form of people, their experiences, or someone just pulls you along, and
Yeah.
that is such a fabulous feeling, I
Oh,
think.
that's beautiful. That is amazing. So it's look at that, right? So first of all, you got to give credit to you because uh, I think the mindset of not quitting was key there, right? And
Yeah,
you didn't want to quit. So that's and and then you kind of picked on these different you know ideas and thoughts that actually helped you propel forward. And the 17-year-old man running was probably the tipping point, right?
absolutely. Yes, totally. He was a
Yeah,
tipping point in me finishing the race strong and not just like, trying to walk and crawl my way through it literally. So,
yeah.
yeah, it just pepped me up completely.
It's
Yes.
amazing how the body just generates
Yeah.
energy when your mind makes it up,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So I
It's
think
just
a lot
amazing.
of this long distance running is just to do with the mind. Otherwise, like things like
Mm,
comrades, which is like 90 kilometers or so, like I can't
yeah,
imagine how anyone would get through that. And many, many people have. So that's extremely inspiring too. Yes, I think it's a lot
yeah.
of mind that is involved more than the
And
physical
there's
body.
such so much cliche around this, right? Mind over matter and all that. But actually, when you do a marathon, you experience it.
Yes.
Or any kind of long distance running, you experience it.
Yes,
It's
any
it's not
endurance run.
cliche. You really you really go through that pain cave, and you really
Yes.
have to.
Yeah, that cliche becomes very real for you. So
Yeah,
you totally, totally feel it. And
yeah.
yeah, so I escaped from this completely unscathed. Luckily, no injuries or any such
Mm.
thing. I was absolutely fine the next day, and I could. So people told me you can't really squat, you can't climb stairs, you can't go downstairs, and all of that. And I was like, luckily, I didn't experience any of that. But just for
Yeah.
one single deadened toenail, so I lost a toenail, but that was all right.
Hey, that's
So
that's a that's one of those what do you call it? It's a trophy. It's a trophy, kind of a
yes, yes,
trophy.
a
Runner's
scar
trophy.
that you wear
Losing it.
proudly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah,
Awesome. Congratulations. So,
thank you.
2014, right? We are in
15,
2014 now, right?
15,
15,
15. Yeah,
2015. You've done your first marathon.
yeah.
So another, breakthrough, ceiling has broken through. And
Yes.
then what happened? Did you just come back and sign for the next marathon?
No, 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 no. So I'm definitely not one of those, I would
Not
say,
that crazy.
super adventure. Yeah, not. And even this crazy wouldn't have happened had it not been for me being pushed to my
Yeah.
very brink. So I'm actually, in that sense, I would say that I'm um, a person who prefers to be in a bit of a comfort zone. Like I would not want
Mm,
to do something crazy and then have a setback and all of those things.
mhm.
So for me, if I'm training regularly, that itself was good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was happy with that I was able to do my everyday runs and be dedicated about it. And my body was also, it was not like I was battering it overly either. So it was important for me because I didn't have to get back and be on my feet through the dates. It was not like I could even sit down or rest for a while, like with the kids and their schooling and having to commute back and forth. So it was a whole lot of movement for me through the day as well. So this was what I kind of felt that this is my zone of operation, or this is
Yeah.
how much I can do, and I was happy doing that, whatever little I was doing. So 2017 and 18, 16 and 17, I just did half marathons. 2018, sorry, 2019, I ran the Athens full.
Oh, nice.
So that was again a crazy thing. So what happened in between was my sister was going through a pretty rough patch in her life, and
Mm.
she made the move from Bangalore to Mumbai. So there was a short while she was staying with us,
Okay.
and at that point in time, I was well into my running schedule and following it diligently and all of that. So she was an athlete through school. She would run many track events, but
Mm.
of course, the same thing worked for her as well. Like she was into work and sedentary lifestyle, putting on weight and all of that. So at this point in time, she had not done much of any kind of physical activity. But when she came here to stay with us, she was like, Nish, I got to change something about myself too. And it's incredible that you're doing these runs, and it's just fascinating to see how you've picked this up. So I would like to try it too. And so in the few months that she stayed with us, I slowly got her to work up to a 10K. And I remember it was in the complex itself. She finished her first 10K, and then we had this huge hug moment. And those were pre-COVID times, so there was no one
Yeah.
like to watch and say, "Oh, you cannot do this," and social
Yeah.
distancing. So yeah, so that was fabulous. And since she picked up on that, she really took it forward very nicely. And she was an athlete, so the body kind of, response to uh, running was far better for her. She also signed up with a run club here in Mumbai, and she would train with a group. And with all of that, she got really good at running. She had a few podium finishes with the half marathon distance and the 10Ks too. And then she made this plan of, let's just do the Athens, and it's
Okay.
the authentic marathon. So I was like, okay, so I'm not going to definitely not have the chance to train like you, but I will just try and complete it, as was my take on that. But she was like, no, we're going to run and we're going to finish together and we're going to do this and that. And
Nice.
so yeah, and that's how the race, we signed up for that race, and we made a holiday of it as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, so it was a really nice experience to have done that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of times, what you just shared is so beautiful, and there's so much gold in it, right? Because a lot of times we think associate running with physical fitness. I think it's such a misnomer. R- Look at your story, right? You and your sister, bonding over something, and running just is incidental, and reviving a relationship, going out and doing a run together, and then also making a holiday of it. Those are human experiences. There's nothing to do
Yes.
with physical fitness, right? And then your whole story of completing the marathon when everything was giving in is not just a physical thing. It's such more than that, right? So a lot of times people always look at runners and say, oh, it's for physical fitness. I think that's the lowest denominator, in my opinion, right?
I totally agree with you on this, Santosh. I don't think you could have put it into words any better than what you just did. You've summarized it so well. So, and this is why those distances or those time, or how good you are, or where you're progressing, like none of those
Mhm.
things really come into the realm at
Mhm.
all. It is just
Yeah.
that feel good. And I think it also sensitizes you to somewhere to making those around you also feel good about
Yeah.
getting into such things. Maybe if not running, at least you trigger them to start something, move in the right direction with their health and their life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there have been so many such instances where lives have been impacted because
Hmm.
it just puts you in such a positive frame of mind that you
Yes.
can't help but share that and want that for others to happen too. Like you want people to grow with you on this
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
So that's a very
Yeah.
beautiful thing. So coming back to the Athens run, we were going along, sailing along together very nicely up to a certain point. I'm not sure if you're aware of how that course is. It's like a lot of ups and downs. So it's like rolling hills, literally. And my training just happened within the apartment complex, so I had not really prepared with uphill. That's what I could do at that point in time, given the time that I could devote to this. So this, I was slightly better prepared because I could do a few 30K plus runs. At least I had that to my credit, and I didn't want a repeat of the first full. um, but then I was not too aware that there were so many uphill and downhill, and it would take a
Mm.
complete toll on my hamstring and calves eventually, if you're not prepared for that kind of a
Mm.
run. And so until again the 24, 28, I was absolutely good. We were going together at a very comfortable, a good pace. And by the time I was like at that 29, 30, I was just, beginning to tell her, she was looking strong and comfortable. She was like, you
Mhm.
should just
Mhm.
go ahead. And at that point, she was like, no, let me just be with you. Let's just do another
Mm.
kilometer. Let's just do it was like, just like you said, it was so much of an emotional moment, um, with a very physical kind of a feat.
Yeah.
So, but there was nothing about at that point in time about the physical ability or, uh, you know, nothing about the ego. So none of those things were there in the picture at all. She was like, I
Yeah.
just want to be with you. Let's give it another couple kilometers and then we'll see how it goes. And
Yeah.
then we continued, but I could sense that I'm slowing her down. And
Mhm.
the thing is, when people run at a certain pace and you're like holding them back, it gets very difficult for them as well to finish it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I did not want that to happen at any cost. And then I had to really convince her. So there was a long part of that thing where she would just keep turning back and trying to tell me. Then she was like, she was stuffing me with all the gels and this and that. I was like, no, you just take it and go. I'm good. And there are so many stations on the way. So it was not like, I would really run out of stuff. And yeah, so she completed, she eventually she went ahead, but she was like, there was so much of like some tears welling up and this and that,
Mhm.
but it was just a very beautiful moment, and I don't think like I'll ever forget it. And she went on, of
Yeah.
course she completed well ahead of me, and I was not even certain I'm going to complete because I could see very fit looking runners
Mhm.
um, just fall by the wayside, and they could just not move because it completely cramped
Mhm.
up in the calves and
Mhm.
hamstrings. So it was really very sad to, and they were pretty close to the, like it was just another 4K to go or 5K to go, and they just could not move. Like those
Yeah.
moments really make you feel like there was, you wish that you could do something to even just tell them you could just
Mhm.
walk it or just assist them. So yeah, that was like a bit of a sad part of the race for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And even I was not sure what I was going to do. There were many times when there were buses on the other side just picking up people who wanted to stop, and it was so
Mhm.
tempting at that point in time to say, this is it. Like, how does it matter? I
Yeah.
just want to come, and I've had a good time. I ran with my sister for a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
miles. So the
Yeah.
mind starts telling you all those things to want to give up. But then,
Yeah.
yeah, I did complete it. You finish inside the Olympic Stadium, the original stadium,
Wow.
and it was just fabulous. Yeah, you have people giving a
Awesome.
commentary at the background, and it was just really great.
Lovely.
Yes.
Lovely. Terrific.
So,
So,
yeah.
what's next? What's next for you? So, you've done Athens 2019. Of course, then we got hit by pandemic, and the races have
Yes.
come back now. So, are
So
you planning
here,
something?
we still haven't had any physical races happening. A lot of it has been just registering online, and I'm also so other than the Athens which just happened, I had not been signing up for too many races either. For me, running had become
Mhm.
more of, I just wanted to stay on track and keep working at getting better, but with shorter distances. I realized with the 42 that there is a lot more preparation involved. You do
Mhm.
need to have a lot of strength training going on the side, and you need your rest and recovery, and all of those things have to be in line. Your lifestyle changes like quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not that even otherwise I'm conscious about how much I socialize and all of that, but still, and then the family also, right? Like so many
Mhm.
of your
Mhm.
outings or your trips or so many things revolve just around the running part.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I had somehow come to the conclusion that I would be comfortable sticking to the getting better at the half marathon distances, unless something like the Athens comes up and we make a holiday out of it, and
Yeah.
just run to explore the a new route and a new feel, a new experience to the running. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. And
that's something.
while you were training for the marathon, I'm sure you had to balance, your responsibilities at home, and how did you juggle that?
Yes, so I definitely had to do that. So the thing that went completely out of my radar was the
Hmm.
socializing bit, because I could not compromise on the home front.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can really give up on at that. I could have had
Yeah.
a little more help in terms of say cooking meals, and all of that is available here. But somehow
Hmm.
we'd just gotten used to planning our stuff around this, and it was working for everyone. So I didn't want to tweak any of that. And it was
Hmm.
not like, running was not like a career for me or something that
Hmm.
had to be done
Yeah.
with a to the exclusion of all else. So I would put
Hmm.
it like that. So yeah, so the
Yeah.
socializing bit took a little bit of a hit during those months that I was training for the marathon. I would want to get my quota of sleep. I was particular about that. I was trying to eat as healthy as possible and try to get my nutrients in. So I think all of those little things helped a long way during the race, despite it being a challenging course, despite me not having trained adequately as I should have for a course like that. I think I could still make it, and I think it was largely due to this preparation. So, yeah, these things
Terrific.
helped. Yes. So,
Awesome. So, hey, we covered quite a bit of ground in your journey, where it
yes,
started, how it peaked, and where you're kind of generally headed in terms of half marathons. But I think, long story short, you've really taken on self care, and fitness has become a core part of. And I think at least what I'm hearing is that's possible for anyone.
yes,
You don't have to give
absolutely,
up on yourself when you make choices. You make choices, but it
absolutely.
doesn't have to be at the expense of yourself, right? So that's what I'm taking away from your in what you've done.
Absolutely, Santosh. So I think everyone are at some kind of a crossroads in their life at
Mm.
different points in time. You do make your choices. It is just that you have to be very aware of what the consequences of those choices are. And as long as you are comfortable with that, and at the max, I would say you need to consider your immediate family. Beyond
Yeah.
that, I don't think it should really matter so much. You're content
Yeah.
with that. It's taking you where you want to go, and you're
Yep.
feeling good about it. And the larger impact that you choose to have, you're able to get that. So
Hmm.
I think all of
Yep.
those factors just put things in place. I think a whole lot of it is of that thinking is attributed to yoga and um, the courses that I did, and
Hmm.
somewhere it really helped me frame my thinking a whole lot better. So
Yep.
yeah, it's been a
Terrific.
great journey so far. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, hey, we're coming to a last part. Moving on to the last part of our conversation, where I have a fun Q&A round with my guests. So, are you ready for
Oh,
that?
okay. Yes, done. This is a surprise.
All right. So, my first question, which is my favorite question for everybody, we all think that all runners only eat healthy food and live healthy lifestyle, but I think we all love junk food too. So, what's your favorite junk food that you like to indulge in every now and then?
Um, my favorite junk food would be, I think, pasta, like a white sauce
Pasta,
pasta. Yes,
white sauce pasta. It's not entirely junk, but it's still okay
it is very,
for
very
someone like
junk.
you who's
And yeah, I
okay.
have a
Okay.
sweet tooth, so I think pretty much all sweets are a big indulgence for me. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Any
yes.
particular sweet that calls your name?
Chocolate, salted caramel, anything.
Ah. Okay. So I think that's your favorite junk food then.
Yeah, yeah,
You
totally.
can't say no to it.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I just have
Yeah.
it every single time it's offered.
Cool. Next one is, what's your favorite running gadget?
It used to be the iPod, the
Hmm.
Nano, but that's no longer, they don't make it anymore, and I was forced to give it up.
Yeah.
I would say now it's my watch, my very faithful old Garmin.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You said you listen to music when you were talking about what's your favorite genre of music?
Um, I don't have a favorite. I just love music. So, but a whole lot of old rock is something
Hmm.
that I listen to over and over again, including on my runs. So, a lot of Floyd, lot of so you
Yeah.
can kind of guess the pace of my runs by the songs that I listen to, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
Metallica, Floyd, all of this, Guns N' Roses, a lot of
Yes.
these
Yes.
favorites. Yep.
70s hard rock. That's my
Yes,
favorite
70s
genre
and
too.
80s. Oh, excellent. Good
70s.
to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you actually go to Apple Music,
Yeah.
they actually have a playlist of 70s hard rock essentials. I just love it. It's the
Me
best.
too. Me too. Yes, I think it's a great genre.
Awesome. Yep. Yep. Your favorite time to work out, run, sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise. All,
Sunrise.
yeah,
Early
very
morning
early
person.
risers, all of us. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Is that a Mumbai thing?
I think I don't know if I would be sounding a little off in saying this, but it's a very Tambram thing. So like I mean, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is what it is. So throughout our childhood, that's what we've been used to, what we've been seeing or experiencing. So even studies for us was like, mom would be okay for us to wake up early but never stay up late. So
Well,
Just
I'm a
just a habit.
Tambram, and I'm a Tambram. I'm not an early morning person. I'm not an early morning person. Okay.
Okay.
All right. The last question I have is it's a movie question. If we made a movie of your life story, what genre would you put it in, and who would you hire to play your role?
Oh God, that's a tough one. What genre? I think it would just be an inspirational genre,
Hmm.
something that inspires.
Yeah.
And who would play my role? You want a Bollywood name to this?
Whoever you pick,
Actually, I
you
have
pick.
no clue. I don't mind doing it myself, so that's something I would love
Okay.
to have a try at. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we don't have. We just need a producer. Then we don't need a new actor.
Yep, yep, yes, totally.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
yeah.
Great. Hey, you did well on the Q&A,
Thank you.
and learned a few more things in the process. And here's your, virtual hamper.
Thank you so
I
much.
don't have a real one.
Loving it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Nisha, I think we're kind of coming to the end of our conversation.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing your journey with us. Give you the last word. Any final message to the audience?
So yeah, I have this quote that I'm just going to read to you. It
Hmm.
says, "What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." And
Hmm.
this is something that I would like to leave behind as a message that I wanted to share with everyone who's watching this. It doesn't matter what your journey has been so far or what lies ahead of you, but you can, just go into your depths and bring about the change that you need to make things better for you. So, and you can change paths at any point that you choose to. You just got to start, and that's
Yeah.
the message. I would also like to thank you, Santosh, for this lovely platform to share my story. And this platform has been inspiring. Like, few of the videos that I've watched have been really fabulous. Chi running Danny Dreyer, that's another person that I've always been reading his books and trying to incorporate a lot many of his techniques. So thanks for the great work that you've been doing, and bringing this to everyone, all the runners out there, and maybe those who want to be runners and they would know how
Yeah.
to get started. Yeah.
Yeah.
So really,
Absolutely.
thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nisha.
Yes.
I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of the evening, and we should stay in
Thanks
touch.
so much.
Thanks a
Yes,
lot.
certainly. Thanks,
Bye.
Santosh. Bye bye.